Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is where the obsession of Labubu gets real. Today, let's make the most iconic Lamoomoo in the world. One of my lovely followers requested this, so here's my take on it. If you like to request a custom Labubu too, feel free to DM me anytime. Hope you enjoy it. We already have all the tools right here, so let's get started. One of the most frequent questions I get is about what markers I use. So here it is. I use alcohol-based markers by Artist Love. They're double-sided with one pointy tip and one broad tip, which makes them super versatile. Right now, I'm using the pointy tip for the details. You can draw it just like I do. I like to start drawing from the top part and work my way down to the bottom.
Nice.
What I love about alcohol-based marker is that they dry quickly, so you don't have to wait around. The ink is super smooth, so you can layer without ruining the Labubu. But if you're new to alcohol markers, just be careful. They can bleed through thin paper. And honestly, you can totally use other brands if you want. But I really like this one because they're affordable and the quality is pretty good. The colors are super nice and vibrant, which is what I love the most. Plus, they come with two tips. One fine tip for details, like I'm using right now, and one broader tip for bigger areas. And they blend pretty well too, which is a big deal for alcohol markers. So, if you're just starting out or don't want to spend too much, I definitely recommend giving this a try. So when I get to the bottom area, I actually like to brush Labubu's fur out first before I start coloring. The reason is the fur is a bit messed up and tangled in certain spots. If I just dive into coloring right away, I might end up with uneven textures or have a hard time blending the colors properly. Brushing it out gives me a clearer surface to work with, and it helps me get those little details in the fur looking just right. It's one of those small steps that makes a big difference in the final look. Alright, now let's move on to the inner filling part. I use the same marker brand but a different shade this time. I'm using R23 for the inner color. It's really pretty kind of pink-orange shade, almost like a peach. I didn't really know what to expect when I picked it out. I was just guessing based on the color cap. But honestly, I'm so happy with how it turned out. It gives such a soft, warm vibe to the piece, and it blends really nicely with the outer tones too. I think it was a good choice. Also, fun fact, I actually have the same matching color as my hand tattoo, like you can see it in here. I just love this color combination so much. It's one of my favorites. And once everything was filled in, I actually went over it 2 or 3 more times just to build up the brightness and get it to the exact level I wanted. Oh, and I forgot to mention, for the outer part, I use shade R17. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is color the eyes with my nail polish. I'm starting with a base coat and then curing it under a UV light after. Once that's dry, I go in with the color I want for the eyes. I'm using a dotting tool to gently spread the polish across the Labubu's eyes. Honestly, this part got a little frustrating. In the original Labubu design, the white part in the original eyes is actually way more dominant. But in mine, it's not as visible, so it was kind of tricky to figure out exactly where I should apply the nail polish. But I kept going, just adjusting as I went along. Since I'm going for a cat eye design, I actually need to hold a magnet over it to shape that moonlight effect in the eyes. It gives it more depth and makes the eyes look a bit more realistic, like they're really reflecting light. Next, I'm using white nail polish to add little heart shapes inside the eyes, just to give it that extra cute touch.
Wow.
It's a small detail, I know, but it really brings the whole expression to life and makes the character look more playful for me. After that, I do the exact same thing on the left eye to keep it balanced. You want to be as steady as possible here, since the white really pops against the background color.
Oh, yeah.
Oops, and if you make a little mess like I did, especially around the edges, it's totally fine. You can just dip a cotton bud in some nail polish remover and clean it up really easily. It works great for fixing small mistakes without ruining the rest of your work. And once I'm happy with how both sides look, I finish it off by applying a clear top coat to seal in all the colors and give it a glossy finish. Then I just cure it under the UV light one more time and that's it. The eyes are done and I'm obsessed with how they turned out. I was really hesitating to color the teeth at first, but then I decided to go ahead and give them some color too. Now, I'm kind of second guessing myself because I'm planning to add rhinestones all over the teeth, so it might be a bit too much. Let me know in the comments if you think I should have done it or if I should skip it in my next project. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. So, I actually bought a special toolkit to make sure the rhinestones stay in place with heat. The way I do it is by using nail glue, just a small amount on the part where I want the rhinestone to go. Then I carefully place the rhinestone on top and use the applicator to seal it in place. The heat helps the glue set and really make sure the rhinestones stay secure.
Nice.
It's a great way to get that long-lasting hold, and the process is super simple once you get the hang of it. And here is where the problem started. I was honestly so undecided about what to use for the eyeliner. I kept going back and forth. In the end, I tried using a marker, but the tip was still way too big to draw a small cute eyeliner like I wanted. So I had to remove it with some nail polish remover, which worked, but it left a few faint marks on the surface. I was a little stressed, not gonna lie. But then I switched the things up and grabbed my Maybelline liquid eyeliner instead, and that actually worked perfectly. The tip was thin enough for the detail, and it gave me the clean look I was aiming for. So, problem solved in the end. What do you think? Did I manage to fix all the messed ups before? Let me know in the comments, because I feel like I pulled it together, right? One of the requests I got from one of my followers was to make it look like a cow, which I thought was such a fun idea. To do that, I decided to add some extra white face patterns. I used the white nail polish and just carefully painted the areas I wanted to highlight. Once I was happy with the shapes, I cured it under the UV light and let it dry completely. For this part, I actually didn't use a base coat or a top coat, I just went straight in with the color. It turned out really cute and definitely gave it that cow-inspired look. Next up, I decided to use a glue type of fake eyelashes for my Labubu. To be honest, I didn't really want to add fake lashes in the first place. It's not something I would usually do, but I'm just following what my followers requested. I get the idea, but personally, I think Labubu looks way cuter without them. It's supposed to be this tiny, adorable figure, and once I added the lashes, it's kind of gave it more of an adult vibe, which I wasn't really going for. I still wanted to honor the request though, so I went with glued-on lashes that aren't too permanent. That way, I can easily take them off anytime without leaving any glue residue behind, so it's a little compromise trying it out, but still keeping the option to go back to the original look if I want.
Nice.
Okay, this is the final destination. Well, not in a creepy way. I just mean we finally reached the last part of this whole journey. Yep, it's time for the real nail polish on the toes and fingers. For the toes, I kept it simple and went straight in with the same color I've been using. Nothing too complicated there. But when it came to the fingers, things got a bit tricky. The shape is smaller and there's less space to work with, so I had to be extra careful not to mess up the details. So I was literally using real fake nails like the kind made for human and trying to reshape them into these tiny little Labubu sized claws. And let me tell you, this was hands down the hardest part of the whole process. I was sitting there like, what am I doing? Why am I even here? It felt like I wasn't even doing art anymore, just slowly losing my mind with a nail file. Maybe I was already burnt out cause I was rushing to finish everything just to finally show y'all my stuff. But hey, we made it through, barely. Okay, so here's the full breakdown of how I made these tiny nails because yes, I really sat down and gave Labubu a full-on manicure. First, I started with regular fake nails like the kind you'd use on human fingers, but obviously they were way too big, so I had to cut them down and reshape every single one to the size I wanted. And when I say reshape, I mean carefully file them down into tiny claw-like forms, trying not to lose my sanity or accidentally launch one across the room. And after I got the shapes right, I treated them like real nails. I applied a base coat to each one just like you would in a normal nail routine. Then came the nail polish, used the same color, making sure it went on smoothly, not too tricky because they're so tiny and the surface area is barely enough to breathe on. But I wasn't gonna stop there. I had to go the extra mile and add little cute patterns, like mini designs, tiny hearts, sparkles, or whatever fit the vibe. That part was actually kind of fun, but also nerve-wracking because one wrong move and it's ruined. And since they're so small, there's basically no room for an error.
Oh no!
Once I was happy with the design, I sealed everything with a top coat to give it that glossy finish. Then finally, I cured them under the UV light to harden and lock it all in. So yeah, full-on nail salon experience, but in miniature. I never thought I'd be out here giving Labubu acrylics, but here we are. Honestly, this step alone felt like a whole journey, but weirdly satisfying in the end. And this is how it looks after I finish everything. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you have any requests for how I should make over my next Labubu or anything else, drop them below too. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you enjoyed this. I really appreciate the support, and stay tuned, cause in the next video I'm doing a Labubu fashion haul. You don't want to miss it. See you in the next videos. Bye bye.